Hey guys, welcome to the second bedroom. Today we're going to be expanding my scud culture out from one of the little tiny containers that I have here into one of the larger tanks that I have up here. And the main reason why I'm doing this is A, I need to get more scuds for my L. Reversa, and B, I need to open up this space for more of my CPD babies that I have coming up. So there's a twofold reason for doing this, and I want to take you guys through how I'm going to be setting up a scud culture and why I think they're such an excellent live food for us to have, especially if we just have a small 5-gallon tank that we can culture them in and be able to provide live foods to all of our fish from there. So the first thing we're going to start off is by putting a thin layer of the aragonite in the bottom of this tank up here, because as the scuds are crustaceans, they're going to need some calcium in the water to be able to make more shells and to make more babies. So we're going to put a thin layer of aragonite along the bottom here, and we'll show you guys what we're going to do after that. So I don't know in the end how necessary all of this aragonite will be, but I think that this will be just a good buffer to have for the basically crustaceans that we're going to be having in here, and that if they need to have more calcium, they have it available for them. If they don't, they don't, but at least I am taking on precautions rather than just putting in some inert gravel or inert substrate in there. So the next thing that we grab now is our filter, and I've had this sponge filter sitting in this tank for a couple weeks now, so it should be colonized with bacteria, and I'll be able to take this up and put it into our scud tank up there, and that's going to provide the filtration. Because even though these guys are small organisms and creatures, they still are going to produce waste, and we still want to be able to help facilitate that breakdown of ammonia to nitrate, as well as just provide a lot of surface area for the scuds to colonize in and to live in, because they do like holding on and clinging on to things. So this is one of the things that we're going to be putting in there to provide both filtration as well as a place for them to colonize and live in. And I'll show you what we're going to put in there as well. That is going to be another place for them to live and colonize in. All right, so we got the filter now put up in here, and it's not going to stay in the front, obviously. I just want to show you that it's actually in here. And it's hooked up to an air pump, and it's just pumping in a little bit of air. And so the sponge filter is going to provide mechanical filtration as well as a place for the scuds to hang out on, as well as in the substrate they'll be able to hang out. And then finally, we're going to be getting some of my old CPD spawning materials that I have lying around, and we're also going to put this up in the front so they have even more space to be able to hide and to just hang out in, because they like cleaning and stuff. They don't like just swimming around in the open water column. They like getting into and burrowing into things. So let's get that out next. So what we're going to be using is one of these old breeding contraptions that I have here. So what we're going to be using here is one of these old breeding contraptions that I have here. I think all we're going to do is we're going to stick this into the tank, put a rock in it to make sure it's weighed down, and they will live and inhabit and love all of this goodness in here. So that's going to be the other thing that we're going to put in there, and then we're going to actually add in the culture scuds that we have directly into that tank. And there's the rock that I need. So we're going to move back the filter, and you can't even see it now. And now we're going to add in the material. So we're just going to squeeze this out a little bit, and it should sink down here pretty quickly with that rock in there. So it might float for a little bit. We can wring these out a little bit more. All right, that should be good to go. So that's now in there. Now the last thing we can do is take this scud culture. I'm just going to dump this entire thing into here. And I need to make sure that the water level up there is actually low enough to be able to dump this entire thing in there. But I think it should be. We're just going to risk it for the biscuit. So we'll take out the air stone. We'll move this around and grab it and move it up to the top. And hopefully we don't overflow the entire system. So you guys might be wondering what some scuds look like. I don't know if you can see any of them scurrying around in there. There's a couple of them living around in there, squirming. There's one in the center frame right there. Those are what they look like, and we'll hopefully have hundreds and hundreds of them in the near future. Let's get these guys moved up into their new tank. Who thinks we're going to overflow it? Really quickly. I think we are going to overflow it. But we're going to go for it. Oh yeah, we might make it. Maybe. I think we're gonna make it. Hey. Look at that. We made it. So now we're gonna make sure that we don't have any scuds left in here, which we do have a couple of them wiggling around there. You can see one of them going back down the container. So let's go get them out and then we'll finish it off. So while this tank doesn't look like much right now, this tank is gonna be a great tank for me to be able to feed my Ellosoma Gilberti that I have down here. And to feed this tank, all we're gonna need is leftover food scraps, table scraps. They'll literally eat just about anything that we throw in there. So what I plan to do is just take the peelings that I have from, you know, my sweet potatoes or my potatoes or carrots or whatnot and just add them in here, and that's gonna be their feed. Now I'm basically gonna be taking the table scraps that I have, making it into a fish food, being able to feed that live fish food to my Ellosoma Gilberti. And there's really nothing more difficult than that. I'm not gonna put a heater in here. It's only an air-driven filter or sponge filter, and that's all. It's a very hands-off, very easy way to be able to culture live foods that isn't like Daphnia. That's a very relatively difficult one to culture in my opinion. So if you guys are looking for a freshwater alternative for live foods, this is a great option. And if you guys want to see how I collected my Ellosoma Gilberti, I'll leave that video right here for you guys. I'll see you guys over in that video. Have a blessed day. See ya.